is this? Could this wait till tomorrow morning? Please excuse me, I've got room service.
Agent Cooper, found Leo Johnson. He's been shot. Agent Cooper, Agent...
Welcome to the Rewatchers in the Lodge. I'm Tyler Harris here with
Tyler McKinley,
Riley Harris,
Marcus Marinos,
and Mitchell Marshall,
and our audio wizard,
Justin Hammer.
Also, I don't think we've noted on this podcast, also writer of our theme song.
Thank you.
Also is going by Ham Dog.
Ham Dog on
this
all
moment,
social
yeah.
media.
Because he's the one that needs to be
I
differentiated.
gotta grab that Twitter handle. The
Immediately.
real Ham Dog.
Oh, I don't think that's taken. I just watched that Pen 15 where they're picking out AIM usernames. Oh
so
my
good.
gosh,
So good. Okay, great. So we watched the last two episodes of season 1 of Twin Peaks. Episode 7, or season 1, episode 8, aired May 17th, 1990, written by Harley Payton and directed by Caleb Deschanel. The finale was aired May 23rd, 1990, written by Mark Frost and directed by Mark Frost.
Oh.
First Mark Frost directed episode we've seen
Marky
so far.
Mark.
So, Mitchell, go ahead and hit me with them hot deets on all the happenings in Twin Peaks, Washington.
Let's go.
Wow.
Coop admits he wants to rob the cradle. Audrey gets friend-zoned. Waldo the bird is too sick to help the investigation. Leo sees Bobby meet up with Shelley, then hears Lucy talk about Waldo on a police scanner. Shelley is panicked when Bobby thinks he has it handled. Cousin Maddie and Donna listen to Laura's tapes from the doctor. Laura is self-aware of her animal magnetism. Audrey struggles to sell fruity perfume, then spies on her manager, telling an employee she could be an escort at the club. She finds Ronette's names in a list he left on his desk. Hank looks like Patrick Swayze. He steals a customer's Zippo. Give yourself a present every day. Audrey is making moves getting the number for Black Rose. Curtain Pirate didn't get her patent. Josie tells the sheriff about Ben and Kathy. She's got pictures. The boys get to gamble with FBI money. They will investigate the mill arson plans. Kathy Martell refuses to sign a life insurance thing that I don't understand. The bird is talking. Leo shoots it and gets blood on the donuts, but the recording catches Leo saying, "No means no, Leo." At One Eye Jack's, Ed thinks a wig of his own hair is a disguise. Hawk is listening outside through Cop's wiretap. Crying Mr. Palmer sees Maddie sneak out in a blonde wig. The Icelanders are singing but not signing. Hank and Josie are hanging out. What? Audrey ties a cherry stem in her mouth. This is not as impressive as she thinks it is. I could do that in 7th grade. Maddie calls the doctor pretending to be Laura. She left him a tape with her holding today's paper and wants to meet up with him. Bobby spies on her. Donna and James then put sand. I thought he put sand in the gas tank. Damn it. Donna and James break into the doctor's office. In his coconut, they find the necklace and a tape. Dr. Jacoby watches Maddie and then is beat up by a masked man. Jacques deals a BJ to Cooper. Audrey has changed it to what I would call
I don't remember that.
a pseudo corset. Coop tells Jacques he is bankrolling Leo's drug business and has to meet him for a job. Jacques says Waldo chipped Laura's shoulder, and then Leo made her bite down on the chip. Leo attacks Shelley. While they try to arrest Jacques, he tries to break away and shoot Harry, but gets shot by Andy. Donna and James listen to the stolen tape. Laura implies she was committing coitus with Leo, and he was good at it. Leo has Shelley tied up in a warehouse, which I assume is down by the docks. He says he's going to kill Bobby. Pirate Lady sets up an overdose picnic in the living room. Josie gives Hank $90K. Hank says he killed Josie's husband and went to prison as a cover. He's blackmailing for more money. Catherine uses her loins and memories to manipulate Pete into helping her. Andy recounts his kill in the heat of the moment and smooches pregnant Lucy. Bobby calls the station pretending to be Leo, telling them to check out James' gas tank. Jacques tells the cops Leo busted his head and he used Leo's shirt to stop the blood, but he wasn't in the train car. Hank tells Catherine the ledger is at the mill. Ed finds Nadine dead, ? Mr. Cooper shows up at the station looking for the killer. Nope, that's Mr. Palmer. Damn. James brings Cooper the tape, but they found the crack in his gas tank. Ben in Iceland signed the deal at One Eye Jack's. Bobby shows up at Leo's, who attacks him with an axe, but before the killing strike, he's shot by Hank. Hank's everywhere. Margaret finds Shelley, and the mill fire begins. She frees her, and they maybe escape. Mr. Palmer sets off an alarm at the hospital and suffocates Jack. The hunchback servant preps Audrey as the new girl for the owner, her father! And then Cooper starts to celebrate room service, and then he gets shot. Cliffhanger. End of season 1.
And
There were a lot of cliffhangers in this last episode.
Yeah. It's funny. There's a lot of things that get kind of connected to each other loosely. Like we get some more of those connections, but yeah, there's tons of things left on as cliffhangers. Before we get into this, I do have current events relating to Twin Peaks. I have good news and bad news.
Oh boy.
This is a little old. I missed this last week, the first one at least. So the good news is David Lynch will be receiving an honorary Oscar this year for being a total badass in film. Congratulations, David. He's been nominated for Best Director several times. One for The Elephant Man, which was nominated for 14 Academy Awards.
Oh, that's
and then nominated for, I believe, Mulholland Drive and one other one that I can't remember. Anyways, congratulations. The second is that the high school that served as the set for Twin Peaks High School is being demolished this week.
Oh man.
Should we go chain ourselves to that high school?
We probably should. You can find, if you search Twin Peaks on Twitter, you'll probably find a bunch of pictures. People had done like graffiti of Ed and Norma with a heart around it in the bathrooms at Twin Peaks at this high school, which is pretty great. But yeah, so there's your current events for Twin Peaks. Now let's get into the 29-year-old events.
I do just want to say, Mitchell, that Loins and Memories would make a great soap opera title.
It would. By the way, I was trying to get the summary slightly shorter, so I didn't mention, but the my favorite soap opera does make a couple of appearances.
Some of its
yes.
best appearances.
I think
One where
hands down
literally-
its best appearance is.
So shouts to that. I can't remember the name already.
Invitation to Love.
Invitation to Love. That should be like a Bachelor spinoff. I'm gonna call ABC.
So good. But yeah, so let's go ahead. Let's just kind of get started. What are some? What do you guys want to talk about first? Is there anything burning in your minds that you need to get out into the ether now?
I think we learned in this episode just like how much of a freak Laura kind of was, and like what what kind of stuff she was into.
Yeah,
This is where it all comes out.
for sure. Yeah, so let's talk a little bit about that. Kind of that we get a lot of that information from the Bookhouse Boys venture, kind of in Cooper talking to Jacques. But prior to that, we have to me one of the more chilling moments of this show is them listening to the recording of Waldo talking when it's like saying Laura's name, and then like he says don't go there, hurting me, no Leo, no. Like it is chilling, and it's such an incredibly well shot scene as well. I think especially these episodes do a great job of, we see a lot of just long reaction shots, while things are happening. We just see Cooper's face, and in that case Harry's face, as they're listening to this terrifying tape that was possibly recording things just prior to, this bird was maybe recalling things just prior to Laura's murder. But yeah, so then we have the greatest field trip ever captured on primetime television. I'm just going to say
I'm so excited for this.
the Bookhouse Boys road trip north of the border to One-Eyed Jack's in an extrajudicial, definitely not legal exercise of judicial authority. I don't know. They, but
yeah, they were like, we can't do anything because it's out of jurisdiction. And he's like, well, then we won't go as official police business. But then he's like, let's get disguised. And he gives him a wig that just looks like his hair. I don't even know if he puts it on.
Yeah, he gives Ed the wig.
The wig and the
And he wears
mustache.
glasses, and the mustache.
Yeah,
Oh, boy.
Cooper comes out dressed in stuff nicer than maybe anyone in Twin
Yeah.
Peaks has ever
Very
worn.
fly.
Like, very good. Got some very classy glasses on. Or his gambling glasses, I think, is what they are.
We found out he can count cards.
Shocking.
I mean, is that shocking to you?
Oh, Cooper's
Like,
a smart
Yeah.
guy.
I just thought he would be a rule follower, and that's
I
not,
think it's
that's
less counting
illegal.
them, and he probably just senses them. He can probably smell the differentiation between the
He's
cards.
got tiny rocks in his pocket that he's throwing from one end of the pocket to the other.
Just
Doesn't know if
feeling
he
the
should hit or stay.
I have a deep fear of counting cards because of the movie 21, which is a great fun watch. Also, there's a podcast about it. But really, like,
That's another
I'm
one of
always like,
Mitchell's.
they're watching me. They're gonna, if they know. And anyway, I just thought Cooper was a rule follower.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I think that's one of the things we've kind of been disabused at this point. I think the first time we see that is when he first gets introduced to the Bookhouse Boys. We talked about this.
Yeah.
He goes in, they've got a guy tied up, and he's like, "I'll take it from here." And
He's
like,
into
I'll
it.
keep doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's the one who suggested it.
Yeah.
Going like north of the border.
And he's like, let's play with the Bureau's money. Like,
Right, he takes
Yeah.
10
grand.
grand of
He
government
works on
money,
his own terms.
and he gives any of it to Ed, who is very bad. at
Oh my
gambling.
goodness!
Yeah.
Freaking like that woman was like, "What do you boys do?" Ed's like, "I own a gas station," and then he's like, "Oral surgeon as well."
Yeah, and then I love. Okay, I do want to talk about this. We've talked about how much of this show is a soap opera. The episode before the finale feels less soap opera-y to me and more like film noir. You have like these very like deceptive, like everyone's trying to deceive each other. It feels a little more grounded, like it's a little less melodramatic. Like people are going into situations where there's real danger. And that exchange in particular with Blackie, like that makes me love Blackie in this show because she's so like quick. He's like, I own a gas station. Oh, I'm an oral surgeon. She's like, oh, well, I was hoping you could look at my car because it also has teeth. Like she's doing literally the best you could with
Yep.
the information that some idiot has just given you.
And then he's like, "Yeah, I want to check your gums." Sexually.
yeah, it was like the most like stumbling, like clusterfuck of a cover.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Cooper's like, "That was really good." I was like, "Apparently, we saw something
encouraged.
totally different, Coop. You are like blinded by your love for these people. You're Gandalf amongst the hobbits. Like, you piece of shit."
Yeah, it's so true. But yeah, so I think probably the biggest scene that happens at One-Eyed Jack's with Cooper is his scene with Jacques. He plays blackjack with Jacques, as you so elegantly put that in the summary.
He deals in a BJ. Nope. I didn't mean to put in there.
Okay, yeah. So it's okay. Yeah,
In-
we're done.
He gives him in beat.
Jacques has a very different accent from his brother.
No,
It's just
almost
like once
no
in a while a
accent.
word is off. What?
Definitely more tolerable. I prefer this to whatever was happening with what's his
know.
name? I forget his name.
I still have a hard
Bernard.
time understanding both of
Bernard.
them, but this one's a lot more, at least convincing that it's a real accent. The other one feels awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what kind of stood out to you in those guys in that scene, or like kind of in what we learned about Laura there?
Definitely the conversation Cooper has while he's undercover with Jacques, and kind of just convincing Jacques that he's part of the whole operation, and he gets him to describe the night that Laura died, and it does this just disgusting extreme close up on Jacques' mouth while he's speaking about the events that happened,
Yeah.
and it is horrifying, and it is like disgusting.
Yeah. I love, it's got that extreme close up of Cooper's eyes and
Yeah.
Jacques' mouth as he says that. Bite
His
the
wet
bullet,
mouth.
baby. Bite the bullet.
Which is like, it's a
Like,
really smart
so-
choice, actually, because in just soap operas in general, with this the absurdity that they go to, just that information could be kind of just like desensitizing at this point. But giving that disgusting visual makes us empathize with that a lot more, because we're now uncomfortable, and what is being said now hits a lot harder because we're already put in that emotional and discomfort state, which is what Lynch honestly is what hit. At least the thing I appreciate most about him is stuff like that. He does that stuff really well.
Yeah. Yeah, he punctuates important information by making you feel something very apparent. Like it's normally disgust is what he goes for, or discomfort. But yeah, so that so we kind of learned why the poker chip was in her stomach there. We learned that he was with Laura and Renette at the cabin that they found multiple times. Insinuates that they were up there several times or whatever. He didn't know anything about the train car, which is kind of the big crime scene that we've got at this point. But yeah, does have plenty of ammunition if they want to get Leo Johnson, charged with these murders. So, But yeah, and then he convinces him to go south of the border so they can just ambush him and arrest him, which I think is textbook entrapment. Like, I don't know, I don't know if that's how that works. I might be using that incorrectly, but it doesn't feel like the way that law should work. But it's definitely a chaotic good move. Like, I would put Cooper firmly in chaotic good for these episodes.
Look, that's just how the book smart guys work. What are they called again? The Bookhouse.
The
Bookhouse
Bookworm
boys.
3D boys.
Well, Jock gives up a lot of information pretty easily, and he convinces him to get. I mean, 10K, okay, but he gets him to go pretty easy.
Yeah, yeah, and
And then in the hospital too, he just is saying stuff. I'm like, I don't care how mad you are at Leo, you wouldn't just say all.
Well, it's because Cooper says it. He's like, he's not a smart guy. Like, he's just
Right.
a dumb guy.
Well, and the thing is, I wonder, you do wonder how much does he actually know? Because if he does think it's simply drug stuff or whatever, you know what I mean? It might not seem as big a deal as because he doesn't necessarily think it's a murder. I don't know. So there's a lot of interesting kind of layers.
He says he wasn't in the train car. So here's what we find out from that night, which I think is important, is he said, it sounds like Leo and Laura were messing around. He made her bite down on the chip, which breaks. Also, Waldo seemed to have been biting at her shoulders, which we did hear from the coroner's report that she had burr bites.
Autopsy,
But then he said that he was not in the train car.
Yeah. He did also say that he blacked out at some point. The blood on the shirt is his, but it's because he got hit with a bottle, and they wrapped it with that. Then he passed out, and then everyone was gone when he woke up. Is that what I...
Yeah.
Which would make sense with what you pointed out about the log lady's vision or whatever. About, like, only one guy coming back or whatever.
Yeah. Oh, man.
Yeah.
The
Totally
log
connection.
Yeah, no log lady in these episodes.
That means
I
he
miss
sucked.
her.
So
The bottom of the barrel for these ones.
between the Wonder Kids group and that's kind of what we get more from Laura's last night, which is again seems to be our primary point. And we hear Red Corvette a lot. Have we ever seen that Red Corvette?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we have
Leo
seen it.
has it.
Yeah.
I remember.
We see
hearing
it
it. I just
when
can't
Ben
remember if you've
Horn
seen it.
meets with
Okay.
Leo because he comments on it. He's like,
you're
pretty
right.
inconspicuous, dumbass.
Yeah.
Basically.
Man, Kate, so just real quick tangent here. So I'm watching Arrested Development in the mornings, right?
Okay, yeah.
And I keep getting information crossed with Twin Peaks somehow.
Oh, I can't wait
Because
for this.
Michael buys a red Corvette for the company car, and I was like, "Oh yeah, the company." Oh shit, that's a different show. And then they're like,
Pete bought a red Corvette.
then they're putting their mustaches on. I'm like, "Oh, that's Sitwell's extra hair eyebrow." And then I was like, "Oh yeah." So I keep like, it's just split seconds, but I keep like, because I'm like, "Oh, where have I seen that before?" Okay, and so yeah, I feel dumb, but
That's awesome.
just want everyone else to know what was going on, the terror I'm going through.
That's so good. You're having maybe the most Twin Peaks experience than any of us.
Does Michael Cera make an appearance in season 3? I would love that. In Twin Peaks.
I guess we'll see.
All
Sounds like a confirmed yes to me.
He's the elf that lives in the log.
Oh my gosh.
He just like pops out.
Elf?
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about that other information. So we do have another group that kind of reveals a lot of information about Laura. Some also disturbing information. Like we are learning that Laura is not the the innocent girl that we were led to believe she is in the pilot, right?
We also learned that she placed the ad in Flesh World.
Yeah. That
And
she
convinced
Ronette to do that, right?
And she was kind of into, like, she always felt like Leo might hurt her, but she was still kind of into it.
Yeah.
Like, I get that's, like, there's a BDSM kink, but also, like, dude, this girl was messed up.
Yeah. Well, and Jock says, like, because she was tied up. She loved being tied up.
Oh.
He mentions that.
Yeah,
and
which makes like everything sound a lot more voluntary than we've been led to believe about that night, at
right.
least.
So, yeah, because it does make you wonder about the...
It was not the innocent girl swept up into this world of crime. It was definitely someone with more of an emotional and philosophical problem getting into this situation. Not to say that horrible things obviously happened, and that's on Laura, but clearly these levels continue to dig down into what she was involved in.
Yeah, for sure. It's a more complex situation, for sure.
She was also tied twice, so she might have been tied once at the beginning of the night and then tied again
So once,
when she was like getting murdered.
Right.
and if she liked being tied, it was just like, let's try a different twine.
Or, well, I'm wondering, like, we still don't, like, officially know who the killer is, technically. I guess we kind of do. But it just makes me wonder, like, okay, if Leo's the killer, then what's the motive
Right.
of murder then? Did things just go too far, or what happened?
Yeah.
So
Because
that's what we don't
like
know.
they were sort of business partners too. Like Laura
Yeah.
was in this stuff with Bobby, who was in this stuff with Leo. So there's still a lot of stuff to untie there. Even if we are like possibly
like
narrowing down on
Leo's
that. You know.
too obvious now, though.
Yeah, I agree.
So it can't be Leo. Anyway,
Yeah.
that's just my thought.
Yeah. But yeah, so let's talk about Donna and James and cousin Maddie.
Maddie has just jumped right in. Let me tell you,
Great. Yeah.
she's like, yeah, I'll dress up like her.
She's like, "Oh, you have a stagnant plot line with two dumb teenagers? Let me get to work."
Inject me into it.
Where is she from?
Montana,
Oh man,
somewhere. I'm trying to remember where, but somewhere in Montana.
Missoula.
Missoula, good
Oh, yeah.
call.
I don't know what goes on in Missoula, but apparently it's some serious shit that she's used to at this point. Because like when she hears this stuff about her cousin's fetishes and all this stuff, she's very calm and collect and is like, sure, I'll pose as my dead cousin and
Right.
like
Who knew all these
entrap
super
this
dangerous people?
gross
Yeah.
doctor.
To be fair, when presented with the idea of like, do you want to dress up like your cousin that you look exactly like, or would you like to stay at home with your crazy aunt and
Oh,
uncle
yeah,
tonight?
That is a good point.
Yeah.
I'm out.
One of which he becomes a murderer.
Yeah,
at the end.
is she like on a cousin exchange program? Like how long is she there for?
Sarah Palmer, by the way, really kind of falls off. We do not see a lot
Yeah,
of
That's
her.
I
true.
thought
Sure.
we'd see a
Yeah.
lot more of her.
Yeah, we haven't seen much.
She
of
made
it.
her mark, though.
Yes,
Oh, yes.
yeah, gone, not forgotten. So Riley, break down for us a little bit of like the mystery friends, that team of rapscallions and their ridiculous plot. Holy cow!
So they listen to Laura's tapes and they kind of find out that she had a weird relationship with Jacoby, and so they're like, hey, let's catfish him, let's make him think that she's still alive, and so they kind of lure him to this park so that they can go snoop around in all of his business, and they find these weird little umbrellas that have like events
The
on
man
them.
loves Hawaii. Yeah, it seems like he's in Hawaii for every major world event.
Yeah.
we're led to believe.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
I wish I could do that. I guess I don't know.
That'd be great. And then they also find his coconut that has the other half of the necklace in it and the tape that he had been listening to prior.
Right.
So
I think it is interesting to note, too, they find this box that has all of Laura's past tapes in it. So it's like she's been recording these tapes, giving them to Jacoby, and he's returning them, which makes that feel less weird. It's still, they still have some kind of bizarre relationship, but it's not like he's hoarding these tapes and, like, using them for something. You know what I mean? And so they kind of do... It's just an interesting detail, I feel like, that I don't know it'll be addressed that much, but like it's an interesting thing to note, I feel like.
I mean, we kind of felt he was intrigued, and she made him think differently, and clearly she has this magnetism that people, especially grown men, are attracted to, and she pretty much states in there, she's like, you like hearing about sex stuff from me, and because you're into me, and she kind of relishes it. It's a little creepy in itself.
Yeah.
Poor Laura.
But yeah, so their plan goes pretty well. I mean, the only hitch is they sent him to a different place. They're basically just trying to get him out of the office. They don't want him to actually see Maddie dress up as Laura, which is weird. Oh, I guess they just dressed her up for the video. Never mind. I was like, why the hell did they dress her up like that?
Well,
but yeah,
she
they
did
make
stay
the video.
there.
yeah,
and
and she
hang.
stayed in
Right.
the costume,
But-
which was weird.
But they send him to a different place.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
go to this street, and then he's like, but that video's at the park.
Right.
Bing,
right.
bing, bing. I'm going to the park, you know. So yeah, she didn't bring change of clothes, I guess. I don't know. It's whatever. And she doesn't go with them. I would want to go, but
I
whatever.
don't want to be alone
Yeah, it makes
yeah,
sense.
just take the
in
car.
the town that my cousin was murdered in
Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
At
her
night.
father is
at
just
night
walking
in a
around
park.
with a mask on and beating people.
Oh, is that way? Is that? Yeah. So let's talk.
I
about,
thought so.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, it
'cause-
never says, but I think you're right.
Because he sees her sneak out, and so Marcus said to me, he's like, I think that's her dad, and we see them at the end of the first episode, catch a glimpse of them in the park, and then Jacoby gets beat, and I think it's the same black gloves. Maybe I wasn't paying attention, but
Well, that mask looks very much like the guy that we saw in the woods with Leo.
oh, you're right.
That one time, right? Back
Yeah.
in when Bobby and Mike
Yeah,
met with
it's
him,
gotta
and they're
be
like,
the
"Is
same
someone with you?" And he was
Oh.
like, "Don't worry about it." It does look a lot like
Yeah.
that.
There's still so many like big
What
questions.
if it's
around it.
still Leland? Leland was
Yeah.
there that night. Leland is running the drugs too.
Yeah,
Leland
Just
is
kidding, I don't think
also. I mean,
could be. I mean, it could be.
he can't be completely unaware of his partner's corruptness.
Of the horns, you mean?
The horns,
right?
yeah. And but he's also seems so emotionally and mentally unstable at this point. So maybe I'm wrong.
That whole
I
thing
think
could
I
be a
just-
cover too.
Yeah.
Like he could be. I don't know if there's any credence to him being part of Laura's murder or anything. I don't think so, but maybe in his own quest to track down her killer, he's kind of introduced himself into this world.
Right, yeah. Maybe
Like-
he's doing some like vigilante justice. I mean, he does do some vigilante justice we see in these episodes. But I will say, so kind of going back to the park, we do see like Bobby sees them. Bobby is spying on them, and then someone is spying on Bobby, which is I don't know why every time it cuts back that you just hear this breathy like perspective shot of Bobby's back. I'm like, this is so great. Like if all of a sudden the next shot was a sniper scope trained on a guy watching Bobby, that's the only thing that would make this better. It's like another layer of just like the president of the United States is ready to kill someone. Like, I don't know. But it's just
Who's the president at that time?
90
This Reagan
Bush?
era?
Bush
Bush
one.
Senior? Yeah, Bush,
Bush
Uno?
Senior with a rifle aimed at him would have been
The president
incredible.
War
himself.
hero.
Oh
Let's
my
see where this
goodness.
goes.
I will say when it comes to like people watching other people, it's also like Ben Horn and Hank and the different people that they're involved in and that they're double crossing or not
Yeah.
double crossing, obviously with Josie and Catherine as part of that. I still don't really know what's going on, but that's how I feel every time Hank is with someone new. I'm like, Hank might be the guy watching all these people. I don't know.
Dude, Hank
Yeah.
and Horn are together, probably are in cahoots with every single person
Yeah.
in the town. It's absurd how many new reveals are made, and that like it's focused on one character. Camera zooms out a bit, and either one of those two guys is like standing behind them.
Yeah, it's so true. I've been conditioned to, every time I see like a glove that's slowly being revealed, I'm like, well, it's probably Hank again. Here we go.
For sure.
Yeah,
This
and
guy's
like,
on his lunch break from the diner where he's doing a bang up job getting those dishes clean.
Hank also pulls like a Gendry from season 7 of Game of Thrones and has some crazy travel time going on.
He's everywhere. He's everywhere at once and knows everybody.
Yeah.
And he's playing everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Also found out he was only in prison for 18 months. That's not that long, dude.
Yeah.
90K is plenty, especially in 1990. Get out of here.
All right, prediction.
Ba-pew, prediction.
Okay, so we had mentioned this, the general before, right? And how
Oh,
how I
yeah.
think there's like a secret government facility in Twin Peaks that they're doing some crazy experiments in. Hank seems to be everywhere, right? Yeah, not possible. Hank is a clone, and Hank's clones are going everywhere doing someone's dirt. He's not the mastermind. He is at the behest of somebody. Laura, his cousin, is a clone. Also, she was one of the first test experiments because they were testing it on the people. That's why there's multiple Bobs, there's multiple Mikes.
Twin Peaks?
Yes, exactly. They're cloning these people.
Everyone has a doppelganger. It's like How I Met Your Mother.
And Laura was trying to kind of throw a coup because she needed more clones to do her dirty work. And
She was gonna take over
they
the
didn't
cloning.
like that, and she's gonna blow the lid. She threatened to blow the lid out the whole thing, so they had her killed.
Right.
Yeah, that's the end. That's all I got.
Well,
Wow.
That went really well. I mean, from where you started to where you ended, it was much better than I thought.
and I mean, Hank is always talking about how he was in prison, which if they had to put all of his clones back in the underground bunker while he was in jail, so they wouldn't know he was a clone. So they also have been in prison in some
That
ways.
mattress
so
he was
reads.
talking about, the rocks, that wasn't in prison. That was in the underground bunker.
Yeah, because we all know prison mattresses are actually pretty
They're
great.
pretty comfortable.
Yeah.
Great. Well, let's talk about Leland real quick because we kind of touched on him. He has very few scenes in these episodes, but there's some of my favorite. That scene where he sees Maddie go is like one of the most imposing shots I feel like we've seen in this show.
He's crying, isn't he?
Well, he's sitting in the dark. I don't know if he's crying. Was he crying? We just watched this.
I don't
can't remember.
think so.
But anyways,
so.
he's sitting in the
canon.
dark and turns into the light essentially. So you see his face as he watches Maddie go, and then just turns back and disappears in the darkness again. Like production standpoint, it's one of my favorite shots. It's a simple thing, but it's really imposing and kind of sets the stage for where he ends up at the end of this season, which is he goes. I mean, he hears that someone's caught the murderer, goes to the sheriff department, doesn't get any direct information, but knows that Dr. Hayward's had a busy night at the hospital, so I'm gonna check out the hospital. And that sets up another one of my favorite shots in this. Is we've got that close up on his face where he's like, hospital, and then it cuts to Cooper and James in the interrogation room, and through the doorway you can still see Leland Palmer. He's like almost centered between those characters, and he turns to leave to go to the hospital, and it's
Ooh, I never noticed that.
we'll have to take a look at it again, because it's something about that shot ties that whole scene together and gives this sense of time to everything. That things are happening very rapidly right now, and under everyone's nose. You know what I mean? Like it's such an interesting choice. Like it's such a deliberate choice too. That I think it's such a great moment.
Real quick, because I don't know where else to throw this, but I wanted to mention it. There's a couple of production things like that I really liked in these 2 episodes that are like over the top but still great. There's 2 shots. That I can think of. There might be more. There's the one with Hank standing behind Josie, and there's the antlers coming out behind his head.
Yes.
And then there's another one where Pete is going through his old yearbook, and he's leaned against the taxidermied bear, Wolverine, or something that's about to like eat him. And that's really. And we don't know what happens to him. I totally forgot. I was gonna say if that's like foreshadowing something. So we don't know if he's dead or not from that fire.
But yeah, he ends up going into the mill, and
because we technically don't see Shelley or Catherine get out either.
Right? Yeah.
But the other thing is, there's a really cool thing from episode to episode. In episode 7, at least how I'm marking it, it's probably 8, and how it's actually listed on the DVD. But,
something like that.
Yeah. Right before they go to One-Eyed Jack's, Pete is holding his trophied fish, and he's like talking about how like after it was like all done in taxidermy, that's like smaller than intended, and then that's like a metaphorical foreshadowing of their metaphor of their co-talk of catching the fish, of Jock being that fish,
right? And
then after they catch him, it's like he's really not their guy, and he ends up dying, like getting killed, so they don't have everything they thought they had. And so I don't know, I it seemed intentional to me.
Yeah,
I thought it was really cool.
I didn't actually catch that, but there is that is a really interesting like thematic connection across that. I really like that. So basically, the last time we see Leland 2, he kills like you're saying. Jock is now dead. They've lost this possible witness that could corroborate a lot of the stuff they've done. And it's kind of, in a way, there's a part of me that it feels kind of good to see Leland like get something. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. It's that part inside of me that's like, just do what you need to do. You know what I mean?
And they really brush him off at the station. They should have just said, "Hey, he is a suspect. We think he's helpful. They should have even implied he wasn't because then Leland, it's just a light switch. He just feels like he has to do it." And I don't want to look at Tyler when I say this because he knows what happens, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jacques shows up in the movie when we see what actually happened with Laura. That's going to make me really frustrated because Leland took away this huge piece of evidence that could have helped solve the actual murder. But being in your own head, if I was that emotional and my daughter died, I'd probably kill whoever I felt like I could kill and get away with it. Not that he's going to get away with it. I don't know. But probably. I don't know.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah. 0 murders have been solved in this town so far, so
really bad.
I don't know. The odds are on his side.
We know this sheriff department cares a whole lot more about their donuts than their crime. Okay.
Oh, that shot of the blood on the donuts.
Oh, yeah.
I just have a note that says blood on the fucking donuts in capital letters.
Bird feathers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that upset me more than the tape. Ugh.
I just don't understand why they're all set out on the table like that, just
They're always
stacked in
stacked up
twos.
twos.
Just a heads up,
drives me crazy.
that's the planned next treat that we're bringing to the
Is it
show.
blood donuts?
Oh.
We're doing blood donuts.
We had cherry pie today.
Yeah.
Cherry pie tonight. Gwen says blood donuts next time.
Oh, good, good. Amazing. So yeah, we've talked a lot. We've talked around the mill a lot too. I don't know how much in detail we want to dive into that because I feel like there's a lot. There's so much information. We've kind of covered it in some other places. But yeah, is there anything like what's sticking out to you guys?
I think
about
the big
that?
thing, just to take away from that whole plotline, is Josie is a secret asshole, and that like I called it from day one. Just gonna say.
Well, and I mean, we learned that she was in business with Hank to get her husband killed, essentially, right? Which is why she's paying him that sum of money. But now, joke's on her. She's not going to be able to get rid of this psychotic capitalist. I don't know. What else would you call Hank? He'll do anything he wants to get a buck. Yeah, he's just in it for the money.
It seems like she might have, for her own reasons, wanted the mill burnt down. Maybe there's some insurance coming her way or something. I did not understand what Catherine was signing insurance-wise. It seemed like it was showing Josie is the benefactor.
Yeah.
I was very confused, but Shelley's in there, they're in there. Finally, it does set fire. It seems like everyone wanted to set on fire, so I think we're good there.
So was that building part of the mill?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
That scene where she's like he comes to her with the life insurance policy was really confusing. So that I'm assuming that guy was working for Josie then.
Someone,
and like then part of me is like, did they think that was gonna work? Like that's the
And
dumbest
also-
plan.
Yeah, it's bizarre. That insurance guy is so. That's such an interesting scene because he just
Beautiful.
comes in like normal, and then he's like, "But also, I withheld this page because I thought something weird was going on." And she's like, "Are you an ambitious man?" He's like, "Who's to say?" It's like the most bizarre, weird insurance dude.
Yeah.
Like I feel like he's going through a midlife crisis. Like his family life's not super exciting anymore, and so any just grain of intrigue he can latch onto. He's making this is the fourth midnight call he's made in the last 2 weeks just to feel something, and he finally might be on the cusp of getting like 10 grand or something. I don't know.
And then he lets it go. She's like, I can't look at this until morning. And he's like, okay.
It's like,
He's like,
I'll be
okay.
looking forward to your call. Please, God, call me.
Please call me. I don't want to wake up and take
I'm
care of
gonna
my
eat
children. Please.
buttered toast tomorrow morning again.
Country
And if
crock.
you do not call me, I will kill myself. Like he really is such an interesting guy. But yeah, so some kind of like life insurance policy.
Yeah.
I think was it Justin who was like, "Is that guy gonna come back?" I really like that.
I liked that guy a whole
Dude,
bunch.
same.
What are you gonna say, Riley?
I think like the biggest thing we take from that is like obviously Josie and Ben were trying to take out that life insurance policy on Catherine and then lure her to the mill where it was going to be set on fire so that she would die and they would be able to collect that money,
Right, yeah.
essentially.
It's like one of those plots. It's so big. It's like, how do you actually expect this to work? Like,
Yeah.
Right.
It's too
you're
many
not
levels.
idiots, but maybe you are. I don't know.
It makes me sad for the sheriff because he loves Josie and she's not. She's not a good lady.
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
And she
Poor
was
Harry.
like, "Oh, they might burn down my mill," and so now she's taken. He's never gonna believe she was involved in that. And now I want to know what her ultimate goal is, besides maybe money, because it seems now she's done two significant things
Yeah.
to get money and to be terrible. I kind of want to rewatch the opening shot of the series because it's her. I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious if there's
that-
any callbacks in the
That's
pilot.
a very striking opening shot
Yeah.
of her looking in that mirror. Yeah.
Are Hank and Horn also like? Is Horn aware of Hank and Josie's partnership, or does he have his own partnership with him?
Horn's just partners
I don't
with
know.
everybody.
Yeah, I mean, because we know Horn called. Basically, he was working with Leo, but also he's working with Hank to kill Leo after Leo starts the fire at the mill to tie up that loose end, possibly. I guess.
And Leo was gonna light the mill on fire anyway, but he just put Shelly there to get back at her. Is that right?
Yeah.
'Cause I'm like, there's no way they could have planned it so that Leo is going to burn Shelly.
They're like, we need to they're inceptioning him. They're like, it's his idea to burn down the mill with his wife inside because that's the only way to teach her.
It was also interesting when Catherine finally finds Shelley. Like, you think the immediate reaction would be like, "Oh my gosh, like I have to help you," but
Yeah.
she's like, "Give me a second. Like
Yeah,
I got to
she's
figure
like,
out what I'm gonna do."
Why the hell would you be here? Like, how is this going to screw me over? Yeah.
Right, and like
Yeah.
she could have stopped the fire probably if she
Yeah.
wanted to, but she's got
This
her
might
own
be good
things.
for me.
That's honestly,
Yeah.
it's such a weird, what a weird headspace to exist in. But yeah, so yeah, let's talk about a couple other things really quick. So let's talk about Shelley. First of all, Shelley's scene with Bobby where she talks about shooting Leo is some of my favorite crying I've ever seen on TV because it is ugly. It is like incredibly emotional, and I don't know if I've ever seen anyone else on an actual TV show that isn't a reality show be that like uninhibited when they're crying on screen. Like, I love that scene, and I think that I don't know. I think I can't even pronounce her name. The actress Machin Amick or something. She's wonderful. I think she's so good in this show. And despite the end of that being Bobby, like, I'm gonna take care of it. I'm gonna take care of your husband Leo. And also James. It's like, those aren't even on the same level, dude.
He's like, Bobby's got it. And I'm like, ooh.
Dude, Bobby's eyelids never cross his irises. There's always like 2 inches of white in between his eyelids and his iris. He's got the craziest crazy eye.
Yeah.
Terrifies me.
But yeah, so we have that scene, and then obviously Leo is terrifying in any scene where he's alone with Shelley. I hate it. Absolutely.
Why she stays in that house? Like, of course she's gonna come back. You shot him. That's his house.
That's what I was saying. Like, does she call the police and have like a stakeout? I'm like, no. Bobby's her that. Yeah, she's fucked.
Yeah.
I
Like,
do like when Bobby gets caught there. He's just like, Leo, I was looking for you. That's a
My
decent
man.
comeback.
What-
Yeah,
what
you
up?
mentioned that when we were watching. You're like, it's not bad. Bobby
done worse.
I mean, Bobby's not an idiot. He's making some big moves. He planted the bloody shirt.
He planted the crack.
Yeah, he planted the crack on James' bike. He called and talked to Lucy, pretending to be Leo. It's just, that's great. But yeah, he's at least making some big moves.
What again? What's his motivations? He's upset.
I mean, at this point, well, we know he's in debt to Leo. I think it's if he gets rid of Leo, he's kind of in the clear on the shady shit he's doing,
Right.
and also he just gets to be with
just
Shelley.
hates James.
Without,
He gets free
like-
pie.
Yeah, he just hates James. That's the other thing. I think the fact that Laura was seeing James hurt his teenage pride.
You know who Shelley is?
Also.
Shelley's if the chick from Footloose actually ran away with the dude. So it's like, what if Ren never came to Footloose Town? Which I can't remember the name. But it's like you just kind of get it with this messed up
Lehigh.
guy in your junior year of high school, and then you marry him. Like it's if the chick from Footloose would have married the douche guy.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely. She's the small town girl that thinks she's in love, and then it's awful.
All right, go ahead and put Footloose on the shared universe list we've
Got
got.
it. Yes, take some notes there.
Are we actually
Ties
keeping
to
notes of
Lehigh,
that? Can
Utah.
we
This
read
is just
all
right up
those?
the street now.
yeah,
That's very true.
Twin Peaks is right around the corner.
Justin, don't tell him where we live.
So
Being ambiguous.
Lehigh Roller Mill.
We live in real life.
That's where we live, all of
Where we
us.
podcast from.
I'm the next door neighbor in the roller mill right next door.
He's in the silo next door.
Yeah.
Oh, that
It's
is
actually-
right next to my favorite cheesesteak place though.
Oh yeah, that's our other neighbor.
Jeez. And Wendy's is right there.
Wait, is that cheesesteak place actually good?
Oh, it's
Oh,
my
yeah.
favorite. And their
It's so good.
jalapeno sauce.
Okay,
and their
I'm
fried
not the
sauce.
one giving away where we're living anymore.
I mean,
right?
we have not mentioned the name of the place yet.
No.
But how many cheesesteak places are there actually in Lehigh?
Utah has a
Two.
stark absence of cheesesteak
There's two.
places.
So yeah,
What a
Anyway,
tangent.
That's another podcast.
Anyway,
So the other short thing I want to talk about really quick is one of my favorite romances in the show, Ed and Norma. We get two scenes back to back of them that are equally heartbreaking. The one where Hank is talking to Norma and they end up kissing, which is a travesty. It hurts my soul. And then immediately after that, we're given the scene where Ed comes home to find Nadine possibly dead on the floor.
At the suicide picnic.
Yeah.
She sets up a blanket.
Yeah, and I'm not entirely sure. Was she wearing like her wedding dress presumably, or maybe an
It
old
looked like a
prom
prom
dress or
dress, I
It
something?
really looked like a prom dress.
Were they high school sweethearts?
They were, yeah, they did. They in high school, so that would make sense as well. But yeah, what a heartbreaking scene of her setting up that picnic. It's really cheesy and like kind of goofy, but then there's not really any humor.
We
in
haven't
that.
learned what's wrong with her, have we?
No.
They've kind of implied like there's
Yeah.
something really terminal, and she's obviously a little nuts. But like it was hard because like obviously it's a really tragic scene, but like I don't empathize with her. Like they've kind of made a joke out of her, and then she just turns into the desperate wife that Ed has to be with because he can't be with the woman he wants to.
Right.
And now she's dying, so it was kind of a. And I assume she's dead. There's a possibility she's alive. Like
Right.
people don't always OD correctly, but yeah, that was very tough to watch.
Yeah.
But I will say, if she's dead, I really think Hank is gonna die. If I was gonna pick one of the bad guys who is a little bit more expendable, I can see Hank dying, which means we could have a happy moment, which the show, is in short supply of, and if Norma and Ed can actually be together.
Like the funerals are happening at the same time, and then Norma is like looking at the grave that Hank's being lowered into, and then just looks over her shoulder, and Ed's also looking over his shoulder.
From different funerals happening
Yeah.
on opposite sides of the
Yeah.
cemetery.
As the priest is running to officiate the other funeral after he's finished.
You're describing this very vividly. Like I think this is going to be a scene in season
Oh, sorry,
2.
I forgot we hadn't watched the next
Dual
episode.
funeral.
This is
Maybe like how
all in there.
weddings in Game of Thrones are horrible events, maybe funerals can start to be happy events in Twin Peaks. But we've already had a pretty bad one.
Yeah, we got a pretty bad one. So that's a heartbreaking moment. It's kind of like we don't know where that relationship's going, but it's one of those things. It's not like super crucial to the plot, but it is something that I kind of root for when I see them together. Like I just like them. Let's talk really quickly about Invitation to Love, because that ties into Josie and Nadine and Leo getting shot. One of my favorite moments in this is we see Nadine watching Invitation to Love, and our favorite man in Invitation to Love, Chet, has a gun pointing at someone, and Nadine says, "You show him, Chet. You show him all." Which, like, is another very small but very, like, powerful character moment for Nadine, because you get the sense that she is an outsider in this town. Everyone talks about her as if she's this weird person, and this is the first time you get the sense that she knows that, like, she feels like the weird person, you know what I mean? And like, and that
When we have that moment with the log lady, it's gonna be rough. Yeah, Nadine didn't get her patent for her, and she's sick, so, and all of that, and like her husband, like, just she's got to know there's maybe not that he's cheating, but there's just that there's some lack of caring and frustration.
There's a missing ingredient there. Like, it's not. Yeah.
I mean, the fact that I forget her name and I call her the pirate lady every time, I feel bad about that. Also, I hate the name Nadine because of a character from Arthur, but poor pirate lady.
So this stems from childhood.
Wow. I was predisposed to dislike her.
But anyways, and then the next time we see Invitation to Love is as Leo has been shot in his attempt to kill Bobby through the window by Hank. He collapses on the couch. Invitation to Love on it all hours of the day. Whenever you need it, that's when
there.
Invitation to Love is there. And we see, I can't remember the character's name in Invitation to Love. The leather jacket guy, who's clearly bad, gets shot. And just, there's this moment where we're cutting from Leo's just been shot face to leather jacket guy's just been shot face.
And they're like
That
looking
is-
at each other.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
It's like, if you had any question in your mind that TV could be art, forget about it. We have answered that question. We have settled the debate. It's maybe the best art. But yeah, just delightful things happening in these episodes.
Those are honestly
As
my
far as
favorite
that goes.
moments of Twin Peaks, is when, like, it doesn't take itself too seriously and just decides to just do bonkers shit because that's how Lynch and Frost want it done, and it doesn't care about anything,
Yeah.
the rules at all. Like, it's just like, that's fucking cool, let's do it.
Yeah.
I also think Leo's alive, which would mean he survived 2 shootings in 3 episodes. That's my thought. And if he's dead, him and Jock both dying at once, that's 2 of your prime people from that final night. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to survive it.
Or Leo's also a clone.
So one of the Leos is dead.
Wait, who shot Leo again?
Hank. Yeah, we
Hank.
see him through
'Cause
the
he's
window.
he's
Yeah,
fucking
exactly.
He's everywhere.
Yeah. So But there's just a couple big things I think we have left to talk about. We'll talk about Audrey and Cooper, which I think is fitting to leave at the end because we pick up these 2 episodes with Audrey still very much not clothed in Cooper's bed, and as if they could see what was going to happen in our day. Cooper handles this with like a grace that I feel like had to be scripted. Like it's like you could watch this scene and be like, this is how you handle a situation exactly like this. And
It's like a Gillette commercial.
but yeah, so he basically he's like the thing I like about that scene is he also acknowledges like, listen, Audrey, come, babe, we both know you're attractive. Like, I know you know, and like I know also, but I would never like this is not what we should be doing.
I gotta say, I'm never gonna be in that situation in my life, and while that's probably a good thing, I'm also like, how Cooper is just so. That's just how vivid of a man he is. Oh boy,
There was something he said too, where he was like, "Audrey, you're a high school girl."
That's the first line of the episode.
Yeah. And he's like, "And I'm an agent for the Federal Bureau of Investigation."
Which are 2 lines you could put in the context of 2 consenting adults role playing, and it would read just as well.
If he was, I love how like that's what he goes for. It's not that like you're 18, I'm like 30. It's no, you're a high school girl, and I work for a government agency. That's the boundary we can't cross.
I'm positive that those 2 characters from Parks and Rec, whose names have just departed me, but he always pretends to be
Andy and
Andy
Andy
he always
April.
pretends to be an FBI agent, and she
Burt
is just
Macklin.
at high school when that
Right.
starts. Oh yeah, Burt.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
I did look them up. In real life, they're only 6 years apart, which made me feel slightly less awkward about. Somewhat rooting for it. I would not be surprised if.
yeah.
I'm
But
kind
she
of
is
there
of
with you.
age that he
Yeah.
gives into that at some point.
Yeah.
I'm hoping for like later in the series for like
Yeah.
things to kind of work their way back towards that.
Yeah.
Also, I just want to mention that like also along with that, he's very much like when you join the bureau, you swear to a certain set of rules. Also, it's the Night's Watch, and you just can't have sex.
Yeah,
Like,
totally.
An agent
totally.
shall bear no children.
Yeah. Well, and I think, and the other thing in that scene that I love is he says, you know, Audrey, secrets can be dangerous. And she says, do you have any secrets? And just the immediate answer, no. No, don't. Got nothing. You know what I mean? And like, and then she brings up Laura, you know, about all her secrets. And he's like, well, it's my job to figure those secrets out. Like, it's all so simple to
Yeah,
Agent
he's
Cooper,
like,
which is what I love
I'm
about
just gonna go get some milkshakes for us. You put your clothes back on and let's talk.
it. Yeah. Yeah.
Got all night.
So good.
But she maybe is making a lot of moves. She might, other than Bobby, be trying to work this the hardest because we kind of think she's the bad girl when this starts, but really Laura's the bad girl, and now she's trying to infiltrate that world.
Mm-hmm.
And he gets a note from her at the very end before he gets shot, and he says, "My little agent," and that's really what's going on. Is she's kind of trying to help him. I will say.
Well, I think
My
he's
little
reading
agent.
the front
It
of
says
the
my
card.
secret
I think the
agent.
front of the card is my secret agent. or
Damn.
something.
my little agent.
Mitchell really wants this to happen.
I really thought he just knew it was from her and was like, "Oh, my little agent," but I heard what I wanted here apparently. I will say she has issues with. Wasn't she there the night that she was at One Eye Jack's the night he was for her first night, and I swear they're like prepping her like you're the new girl, you're going to meet the bosses, and then it has to be the next day when she acts like that gets left on a cliffhanger, but she's waiting in there, and her dad walks in, right?
No, I think that's all
That's
the same.
all
I
the
think
same
it's all
night.
the same night. Yeah.
Yeah, because they go take her to get changed. That's when their deal is made. They sign it, and
They
that's
have
all
her pick
happening
a
after
card.
Cooper
Alright.
has left.
Because she's waiting to talk to Cooper, but he
Yeah.
has already left to go with the Bookhouse Boys to One Eye Jack's, and then she slips that note under the door and then leaves to go there.
I just thought where we see him, because we see obviously the Jacques shooting stuff happen, and then the next one, I swear where he is next, and yet she is still in that same. She's still waiting and stuff. I don't know. I do also need to give a shout out to the Hunchback of Notre Dame helping her get ready.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
What?
It was like the woman from. It was like the witch wife from Princess Bride.
Yeah.
It's like, And then she scurries out like
Scurries into like a secret door.
I wasn't actually here.
Also, let's not gloss over the little lore nugget that's dropped here, where when you get hired as a girl at One-Eyed Jack's, you choose a card, and then they sew a giant version of that card onto the lingerie you wear. What?
Yeah.
And they all have like cards in their hair or stuff. It's like,
Yeah, I noticed that in
over-theming.
the last episode. It's like
They
you had
are
a
really
wild
going
time on the blackjack table, and
They love
you didn't clean up.
gambling.
Yeah. But yeah, so and then we're left at the end of this episode. We're left. Ben Horn has successfully gotten the deal with the Icelandic men signed. Is getting all his loose ends tied up, presumably at the mill, and is going to sample the new girl, who's also his daughter. And that's where we're left.
So many
ruin your day.
cliffhangers.
We're left with we're left with that. We're left with fucking what's his face going in the fire.
Yeah.
Pete running
oh,
into the
poor
fire.
Pete. I can't believe he let his wench of a wife
Yeah.
bring up some past memories and be like, help me, Pete.
You're my only
Man,
hope.
Pete, you knew that hoe would cry.
But yeah,
And
so,
then as everything's going Cooper's way,
yeah. I mean, yeah.
they got a good suspect. Freaking the Icelandic people have shut the hell up.
He's gonna get a good night's sleep.
Girl is leaving him love notes.
yeah, and then he gets shot multiple times. We see at least two.
He has a busy minute. He comes in, phone rings, picks it up, and then his door knocks, which he thinks is food.
Yeah.
And then
Which he remarks that room service is one of the great inventions of the 20th century.
Oh
or
my
something.
gosh,
Yes.
what a great nugget! Yeah. Oh man.
then he gets a
I think he's
lead
wearing
dinner.
I mean, obviously he lives, but I think he's. Maybe it's just a vest thing, but man, I was excited for him to get room service. On the phone, we hear someone, I think, saying something about Shelley Johnson.
Yeah, we hear Andy.
Oh, okay.
And Andy's on the
Oh,
phone.
okay.
Yeah, saying something about Leo. Kind of a bunch of just stuff is being said as Cooper goes and answers the door and gets shot. But yeah, so let's just run down really quick. Oh, sorry, what do you have?
Is lead dinner a phrase?
You only know that if you've been the recipient of one. Which Tyler, you'll have to say
I was
that
trying
story
to do like
for
the
another
gun
time.
version of knuckle sandwich.
I like it. I just took it in stride.
You got shot in the stomach, man.
Yeah, the lead dinner bypasses the mouth and goes directly to your gut or heart or wherever you shot.
I knew that was. You were dying over there. I'm like, oh man.
That was good.
Sorry.
I was like, I don't know if that was like a common phrase or
Look, when you become a dad, bad puns just flow.
It's funny
happens.
because I've seen all the episodes of Twin Peaks, and it becomes such a common phrase over the next 30 episodes.
Okay.
I didn't even think about it. So let's just do a quick rundown of the characters whose fates we do not yet know at the end of this episode. So Jacques, we know, is dead. We see his.
flatlines.
Yeah, he flatlines. I mean, as dead as one can.
I think that's
when
like
that
the most
happens.
dead you can present someone on
Right.
TV is like literally hook up to a.
Yeah, in this show, that is for sure like the most definite thing we have seen as to someone's death in this episode. So
Pete, Catherine, and Shelley.
yeah, so they are all in the burning mill at this point.
Cooper gets shot.
Cooper gets shot.
James has the cocaine. We don't know if he's
Yeah,
gonna be
James is
arrested
in
yet.
custody. So yeah,
Did they
something
confirm the
going on
doctor died?
Jacoby?
No.
Or
No.
he's
He had
just
a
he
heart
was
attack.
stable.
Stable.
Dr.
Oh, okay.
Hayward is like he's stable. We'll probably
He
know
apparently
more
had a
once
heart
he wakes
attack as well.
He's saying
Right.
crazy things like seeing Laura Palmer and snowboarding in Hawaii.
Like Johnny Tsunami.
So yeah, but he is in the hospital. He's Leo has been shot again, twice in 2 episodes.
Wow.
This guy is full on lead dinners. He's at the all you
You're not
can
using
eat
that
buffet
correctly.
of lead dinners.
This guy is full on lead dinners.
Audrey is in a room with
Yeah,
her
the
dad.
fate of Audrey,
my
we do
God.
not
Yeah.
know,
Don't know how that's gonna
what
be.
is going to happen there. Yeah.
Ed and his wife.
Yeah,
we don't know if
Nadine,
she's
we're
gonna be
not
okay.
sure. Not very alive seeming when Ed found her, but what a textbook 911 call also. He called, was like, hey, here's where I'm at. My wife OD'd on pills. He did like an ocular pat down of the area and knew what was going on, and like was able to communicate that clearly, and then said, like, without getting like over emotional, "Please God, hurry." That's all you need to know. Is a 911 dispatcher? Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Well
like
done.
finally,
Well
I
done.
got to
Third
do
grade.
my job.
We learned NAP, name, address, problem.
Yeah, exactly. Wonderful. So yeah, but so we have a lot of faith, a lot of cliffhangers in this episode.
I love it.
We have yet to tie up. So very exciting. So next week we will watch, I believe, the first 2 episodes of season 2. Hopefully get some answers on what is going on. The season premiere of the next 2 episodes we're watching, actually, David Lynch returns. So 2 David Lynch episodes next week. So we'll be excited to get to that. I did want to read, we got an email this week from the neighbor's wife. The now not neighbor's wife. I don't know how. There's too many hyphens.
He lives
on
in
this.
my basement. She
on this
still
title.
lives beneath the cheesesteak restaurant.
Right. Yep. This is all reading. So I'm just gonna pull that up right now. But yeah, she brought up a really good point, and I think with the end of this episode, definitely an interesting thing to kind of discuss and look into. That has been. I don't know if bothering is the right word, but that has been on her mind. The subject is but can we talk about Diane? So let's talk about Diane real quick. So she said she's been occupying my mind more than the rest of the show combined since episode 6. Who is she? What is her relationship to Cooper? I started out thinking that she was Cooper's partner because he starts out recording evidence and observations for her as though he expects her to join in and contribute to solving the case. But then he asks her to look into buying property in Twin Peaks. Okay, could be case related, but if not, why are you asking Diane? Is she your PA? If that's the case, were you just sharing some case details so she'd compile them in a case file or some such? At this point, I started thinking that Diane was just like Cooper's inner demon that he has embraced and speaks to on the reg about anything and everything, which I think falls into your theory,
that was
Tyler,
my
about
first episode prediction.
no women in the show being real. But then he asked her to overnight his earplugs on a tape recorder, a time-sensitive request on a tape recorder. Dude, are you sending her these tapes every day so she can follow your instructions? So inner demon theory is out since he expects a physical action that he can't actually perform on behalf of his inner demon.
And he says he got him.
And
in this last
yes,
episode.
so that is the next thing. So we do confirm that he has received said earplugs in a timely manner. He may not need to use them.
Diane shot him, that bitch.
But yeah, what are you guys' thoughts on Diane at this point? I don't know. Open.
Okay,
Do your
this
thing.
is what I think. I don't think we're ever gonna figure out who Diane is throughout the entire
Okay.
series. I think it's gonna be like purposefully left ambiguous, so the audience can decide whether or not she exists, and like whether or not like she actually plays a role in the story.
Right. If nothing else, what a compelling reason to just get as much stream of consciousness stuff as we can
Right, yeah.
from Agent Cooper. Like, reason enough, I think, for sure.
I think that's definitely my first choice. But if I had to say something different, it's something that she's not either around and like not real, or is like his dead wife. And like, or dead partner, like a partner he lost like earlier on, that he just like that's his way of coping or something.
He did ask her to like send things.
But did we actually see the earplugs? You know,
We didn't.
he could have just gone to the store and bought
Maybe
some.
he's got issues. Maybe he's still talking to a dead person.
Which, I mean, if that theory holds true, Cooper do have some secrets.
Uh-oh.
He
Which
trusts her though, because he says like some pretty
Yeah.
intense stuff, and he has her do some fairly personal things, so she must know him pretty well. Be like his assistant. If that's your full-time job, it's pretty smooth. You just listen to some tapes, maybe send something, look up some real estate. You know,
Yeah, not too bad.
I want to be Diane.
No, Cooper's got too much information on those tapes. He burns them every night. He burns the tapes.
He burns them, and that's how she's
On
able
a
to hear it in the
CD.
spiritual plane that she resides on.
Yeah, he burns them onto CDs, and then
The
Maybe
FBI
Diane's
had
doppelganger.
that technology in 1990. They just didn't want us to know
They have a
about
tape
it.
recorder that's voice activated.
That's true. That was a little. That was a step. Tapes, tapes mean a lot to the show.
Yeah,
Lots
for sure.
of tapes.
The Laura
Yeah.
tapes.
Lots of tapes.
Yeah.
Any other theories on Diane?
No.
Cool. Well, let's do a quick round of recommendations. Anyone been watching anything other than Twin Peaks that you want to recommend on this show?
Yeah,
I got
Yeah.
one too.
Okay.
Go ahead, Justin.
Okay.
Let's
So I'm like halfway through the second season of American Horror Story.
Oh,
Has anybody watched any of that?
I have not.
No.
Everyone
No,
tells
so-
me these are the words that people tell me when they talk about the show. Hyper-sexualized horror, and then I'm immediately like, I don't know if I can handle it.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate. I don't know. I watched the first season like 4 years ago, and I thought it was actually really interesting, like really well made. The second season, I am enjoying like just how insane it gets. Like I don't want to spoil anything in case anybody watches it, but like just pick like your favorite horror theme, and it's in this season. Like it's great.
Interesting.
The acting is fantastic. I'd highly recommend it.
Cool.
I've done
And that's all.
really good things about a few of those seasons.
Yeah, I believe that it's won like various awards for writing
Yes.
and acting as well. Like I don't know anything about the later seasons. I think there are 8 seasons now, possibly.
Oh, wow.
So I'm only on the second season, but yeah.
And
I
you're watching it
recommend
on Netflix?
Yeah,
Is that
it's on
what
Netflix.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. Yeah, that's been on the periphery of my understanding for so long, and yeah, I might have to dip into that. Tyler?
I just finished watching season 7 of The Venture Brothers. It just came out on Blu-ray, and I hadn't watched it when it came out, so I just binged the whole thing in 2 days. And have any of you guys watched it at all?
No.
I have
Okay.
also watched it. I had a similar experience with season 7 like last week. So yeah.
The Venture Brothers is possibly my favorite thing ever televised. It's an animated show. It's on Adult Swim, so that makes it sound like really bad right away. That like those usually aren't my type of shows. They were when I was 14. This show is incredibly smart. It's a parody essentially on the old Hanna-Barbera cartoons, but it's crazy. It's made for kids born in the 90s because it's like who maybe saw Hanna-Barbera reruns.
Yeah.
Like it's got like really old references like that, but then it's just full of like 90s references to like Nickelodeon shows, like everything.
Yeah,
But then there's
the
like
Clarissa Explains It All reference
Is
is
one of my
one that
favorites.
smacks you upside the head in a way you're not expecting. It's
and
very
then
good.
it's just like this weird combination of dumb random humor, really smart clever humor, old school references mixed with just like over the top violence, and I'm like, this show is for me. And yeah, it's really good because it never takes itself too seriously, but about halfway through season 3 it just like sweeps you off your feet and you're surprised like, holy shit, this is a really cool plot line that is like going throughout this whole thing. And I think season 6 especially did some wonderful stuff with like the serious quote unquote plot lines of that show, and then season 7 has just like these wacky payoffs that like it gets crazy. But I think they're only planning one more season, is that right?
Yeah, I know for sure that one more season is planned.
I mean, it's always been a question whether the show would continue because
Yeah.
it's like barely surviving.
And
but
it goes years between seasons. It's just 2 guys that write everything and do a lot of the voices.
But any of you guys want to? Is it on Netflix? Is first season on Netflix still?
No, it's on. I think there are a few seasons on Hulu. But yeah, I don't think it's on Netflix
Okay.
anymore.
I can't recommend this show. If you, I've got him. If someone wants to borrow him, he's got him. Someone wants to borrow him.
Yeah.
Yeah. Try it out. See how you feel. The first half of season 1's kind of but then it just becomes wonderful.
Yeah, it's very good. Love that show. Great. Anyone else? Any other recommendations?
Mitchell and I saw John Wick 3
Oh,
a couple weeks ago.
Beautiful.
That was fun. It was fun.
Yeah.
If you should just you should just appreciate it. It's beautiful.
It's like the best choreography out of all 3 films is in this one.
Yeah,
and it's
really great
just
stuff.
it's just wild. Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to think what else.
Did you have something?
I've been working my way through RuPaul's Drag Race. It is great, and everyone should watch it.
Yeah, I mean, I hear about that show constantly. I hear it's very good.
It's
What
great.
season are you on? Because Riley, you haven't watched any. You're not like caught up. You're like
No.
watching old seasons.
Yeah, I'm buying old seasons on iTunes.
Wow.
That's how I'm watching it.
Soon to be extinct iTunes.
Is
Yeah.
it not streaming anywhere?
No. It's so hard to find. I just finished season 8. Yeah.
Okay.
But I've started on season 4 because I heard the first 3 were kind of whatever.
They're
But
getting their
I'll
feet
probably
under
go
'em.
back at some point. I don't
I'm
know.
extremely
walk
tempted
down.
to go on Hulu and watch really old episodes of things like competition shows that just have countless seasons I just never watched, and it's hard not to. There's just too much TV.
Yeah.
But
So much.
I did watch 20 episodes of a show this week, saying there's too much TV, and then I just
What did you watch?
went right through. So it's a British sitcom called Gavin and Stacey. It's James Corden. It's kind of known as the first sitcom that he was really part of. He wrote it. But there are 2 characters particularly that are Welsh, and you think they're going to be annoying or frustrating, but they have a way of talking and a way of being interesting, and you just end up wanting to spend time with these people. It's one of those cases where it's a sitcom where the primary couple, Gavin and Stacey, you actually, you don't hate them, but they end up being the least interesting part of the show. And it does an impeccable job of you spend almost all of your time with the same 7 people, and it is just so much fun. It's British, so each season is only 6 episodes, and then they have a Christmas special. There's a new one. This ended in 2009, and they have a Christmas special finally coming out this Christmas, and that's kind of what made me interested to see if I'd like it, and I just couldn't stop watching.
What's it called again?
Gavin and Stacey. It's on Hulu.
Oh, well, I'm fucked.
Again, you're just going to enjoy spending time with these people, and it's a culture clash between England and Wales, and it did not work in the U.S., and I know exactly why, and it's so fun.
Interesting. Okay, cool.
I actually have a recommendation that I just thought of.
Cool.
Because I usually think of things that I've seen recently. Like I saw Aladdin and I saw Rocket Man. They're pretty good, but they kind of cater to a specific audience, people who like musicals, things like that. But a show I've been constantly watching for a while now is Adam Ruins Everything, and I really like it.
It's great.
I kind of just found it. It's been out for a while now, and Adam Conover has a few podcasts that are great too. But it's like an adult after school special where you just kind of learn about kind of some different things that you can see from a different perspective, and it's a great show. Really like it. It's really goofy, but it's fun.
There's actually a really he was recently on an episode of Harmontown, Dan Harmon's podcast, and he talks about the show and how storytelling ties into that, because that's all that show is it's about telling stories, and he talks about basically how they tell stories. The way to convince someone to think differently is to tell them a story and to tie that into all the aspects of storytelling, and that show does it really well. There's arcs to those characters, which is really fun to watch, and really fascinating. So yeah, it's I love Adam Ruins Everything. So, all right, great. Well, there's a bunch of other stuff to watch, so you're not tempted to watch the next 40 episodes of Twin Peaks.
Only
before
2
you
more
see
this
you next
week,
week.
man.
Yeah, only 2 more. So pace yourselves. Drink lots of water. Hug your parents. I don't know. Do whatever you need to.
Every day, give yourself a little present.
Oh, yes, we forgot. Yeah.
There you
That's
go.
great.
We didn't talk about that, but it's great advice. Words to live by. Well, until we see you next time in the lodge, I'm Tyler Harris.
Tyler McKinley.
Riley Harris.
Marcus Marinos.
Mitchell Marshall?
Justin Hammer.
And we'll see you next week
Ham
with 2
dog.
David Lynch episodes. Whoa!
Bye.
Bye.